Nigerian politics never sleeps. Just when people thought 2027 was still far away, Atiku Abubakar dropped a heavy statement. He said he is ready to step down for a younger, vibrant, and more accepted candidate. That's a huge twist from a man who has been in the game for decades and never gives up on his presidential dream. For years, Atiku Abubakar has been known as the politician who never backs down. He has contested for Nigeria's presidency several times, becoming almost a permanent feature of every election season. His name carries weight, his network is massive, and his ambition has always been clear, to one day become the president of Nigeria. That is why his recent statement feels like an earthquake in the political landscape. People are shocked because this is not something Atiku is known for. This is a man who has spent his entire career chasing the top office. To suddenly say he is ready to step down is not just a statement, it is a shift, a signal, and possibly a strategy. When you break it down, this moment means far more than just words. It suggests that Atiku may finally be reading the mood of the people. Nigerians are tired of recycled leadership. The younger generation is louder than ever before, demanding change, demanding energy, and demanding leaders who can match the pace of a modern world. For Atiku to even admit that there might be someone else better positioned, it shows he understands the direction the country is moving toward. But of course, this is politics, and in politics, every statement has two sides, the one you hear and the one hidden in the shadows. Now let's look at the deeper layer. This same Atiku, who has always positioned himself as the best option, is now openly talking about making way for another candidate. That raises immediate questions. Is this a genuine move, or is it a carefully calculated way of placing himself at the center of the conversation once again? Because make no mistake, Atiku knows how to keep himself relevant. Every election cycle, he finds a way to remain in the headlines, and this time is no different. By saying he is ready to step aside, he is not fading away. Instead, he is sparking discussions, creating speculation, and ensuring that his name is tied to the idea of the future, even if he's not the one leading it. And then, there's the picture. Atiku Abubakar standing side by side with Peter Obi, both of them smiling and shaking hands. That single image tells a bigger story than 1,000 press releases. It's a picture that screams symbolism. On one side, you have Atiku, the experienced old guard, a man who has been around for decades, who understands the inner workings of Nigeria's politics. On the other side, you have Peter Obi, the relatively younger candidate who electrified millions during the last election, especially the youth who saw in him a new possibility. The handshake becomes more than just a greeting, it becomes a message. It's almost as if Atiku is telling the public, look, I know the future is no longer in my hands. I know Nigerians want something different. And maybe, just maybe, Obi is the one who fits that description. Even though Atiku didn't call Obi's name directly in his statement, the photo makes it difficult not to connect the dots. It's like the perfect background for the perfect timing. But let's not forget, Atiku is a political strategist. Every move he makes is calculated. If he says he is ready to step down, it doesn't mean he is bowing out completely. It could mean he is preparing to play kingmaker, someone who still holds influence but passes the flag to another candidate he believes has the momentum. And if that is the case, then who better than Obi, who already has a strong following, credibility among the youth, and a reputation for being different from the old political class? Still, there are questions. Why now? Why make this statement in 2025 when the election is still 2 years away? Some believe Atiku is simply testing the waters, watching how Nigerians and the political class will react. Others think he is sending a direct message to Obi, almost like an invitation, saying, if you want to do this, I'm willing to stand aside for you. And then, there are those who believe it's all a game, a way for Atiku to appear selfless while still keeping his cards close to his chest. Whatever the real motive is, one thing is clear, this is not business as usual. Nigerians are not used to seeing Atiku in this light. They are used to seeing him push his own ambition, not step back for someone else. That's why this single declaration is shaking the political atmosphere. It changes the conversation about 2027, shifts attention back to the possibility of alliances, and raises new expectations about what the future might hold. Atiku knows the importance of timing. He knows that by making this statement now, while Obi has not declared his intention, he creates a buzz. He puts Obi's name back in the headlines without Obi lifting a finger. He makes himself part of Obi's story without forcing the issue. And in doing so, he positions himself as a man who understands the moment, even if he is not the one carrying the flag. So, Chapter 1 is not just about a politician making a statement. It's about a political heavyweight recognizing the pulse of the nation, playing the game of relevance, and sending signals that will keep everyone guessing. Nigerians are watching closely, because if a man like Atiku says he is ready to step down, then 2027 is already shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable elections in Nigeria's history. Here's where things get interesting. Peter Obi has not declared any intention to run for president in 2027. He's been calm, focused, and moving quietly since the last election. But the truth is, Obi remains one of the most talked about figures in Nigerian politics. His name still comes up in every major political discussion. Think about it, how many politicians lose an election and still remain as hot in the public conversation as Obi is right now? Not many. Usually, when candidates lose, they either fade away or reduce their activities. But with Obi, it's different. His influence has not died down. The movement he built, the energy he carried, and the connection he has with the people, especially the youth, are still alive. In fact, it's almost as if his silence is making people talk even more. So when Atiku Abubakar came out to say he is ready to step down for a younger and more vibrant candidate, Obi's name automatically jumped to the top of the list. It doesn't matter that Obi himself hasn't made a statement. The political space in Nigeria already sees him as the natural candidate who fits that description. He is younger compared to Atiku. He is vibrant compared to most of the old political class. And in terms of acceptance, Obi proved during the last election that he is capable of pulling massive support across the country. This is why Atiku's statement feels targeted, even though he didn't mention Obi's name directly. For Nigerians who are reading between the lines, the picture is clear. It's almost like Atiku indirectly pointed at Obi without saying it out loud. Now, the silence from Obi becomes even more powerful. He hasn't said yes. He hasn't said no. He hasn't even shown interest. Yet, his presence is felt everywhere. In politics, silence can sometimes speak louder than words, and right now Obi's silence is making him look even more strategic. It creates mystery. It keeps people guessing. It fuels discussions. And most importantly, it makes people project their hopes onto him. Imagine how this plays out in conversations. People are already saying, what if Obi runs in 2027, or what if Atiku really supports him? Those questions alone keep Obi relevant without him lifting a finger. That's the power of his brand right now. But here's where things get real. Obi himself knows that stepping into 2027 would not be easy. Yes, he has massive support, but politics in Nigeria is never just about popularity. It's also about structures, alliances, and strategy. This is where Atiku's statement becomes important. If Atiku truly steps aside and even offers support, then Obi suddenly gains a stronger backing. It could be the kind of alliance that changes everything. However, this is where the risk also lies. Because Obi has built his reputation on being different from the old political class, any kind of visible partnership with Atiku could be seen as him moving too close to the same system he has always criticized. Nigerians are very sharp when it comes to spotting contradictions, and this would be a big test for Obi. Still, if you look at the bigger picture, Obi is in a very strong position. Without saying anything, he is already being discussed as the likely candidate. Without declaring, he is being placed in the center of national conversation. That's the kind of influence every politician dreams of. And it all comes back to how he carried himself in the last election, his message of accountability, his image of simplicity, and his ability to connect with ordinary Nigerians. At this point, Obi's role in 2027 is not just about whether he will declare or not. It is about how long he can maintain the mystery. Because the more silent he remains, the more people will speculate. And the more people speculate, the more his name grows in relevance. It's almost like free publicity. But here's the kicker: silence cannot last forever. At some point, Obi will need to make a decision. Will he step forward and run again, this time with stronger alliances? Or will he sit back, refusing to play, and risk losing the momentum he has? That's the suspense Nigerians are waiting for. And Atiku's statement has only turned up the volume on that suspense. So, Chapter 2 is really about the Obi factor. He has not spoken, but he is speaking through the actions of others. He has not declared, but he is already being declared in conversations. He has not stepped out, but people are already setting the stage for him. That is rare power in politics, and right now, Obi holds it without even asking for it. So, what does all of this mean for the race ahead? First, it means 2027 is going to be unpredictable. Nigerian elections have always been dramatic, but this time, the twists are showing earlier than usual. Atiku Abubakar saying he is ready to step down is not a small statement, it is a bombshell that could reshape everything. It signals that the old order is not as confident as before. It signals that even the biggest political players are starting to accept that the game is changing. If Atiku truly steps aside, it will be the first time in decades that he has chosen not to be on the ballot. For many Nigerians, that alone would be a shock. But more importantly, it shows that the demand for younger, fresher leadership is no longer just talk. It has become a reality that even veteran politicians cannot ignore. Nigerians, especially the youth, have made their voices loud enough to push a man like Atiku to admit he might not be the future anymore. That is a massive shift in political culture. Second, it means Peter Obi's position becomes even more powerful. Without saying a word, Obi is suddenly being treated as the natural choice for the future. That is the kind of recognition that money cannot buy. Atiku's words indirectly crown Obi as the face of youth, vibrancy, and acceptance. Whether Obi accepts that role or not, the perception is already there. And in politics, perception is often more important than reality. But this also comes with pressure. If Obi decides not to contest, people will feel disappointed, maybe even betrayed. If he does contest, people will expect him to deliver something extraordinary, something that goes beyond what he offered the last time. Either way, Atiku's statement raises the stakes for Obi in 2027. It puts him in the hot seat before he even makes a move. Now, let's talk about alliances. Nigerian elections are not just about individual popularity, they are about building bridges across regions, across parties, and across interest groups. If Atiku really means what he said, then an alliance between him and Obi could become one of the strongest political forces in the country. Atiku has experience, networks, and resources. Obi has energy, credibility, and mass support. Put those two together, and you suddenly have a team that can shake the foundation of Nigerian politics. But let's be realistic. Alliances in Nigeria are tricky. They look strong on paper, but they often collapse under the weight of ambition, ego, and hidden agendas. For Obi, the challenge will be how to accept support from someone like Atiku without being swallowed by the system he has always stood against. For Atiku, the challenge will be how to genuinely let go of his own ambition and play the role of a true backer, not a hidden controller. That balance will determine whether this possible partnership works or falls apart. Looking at the bigger picture, 2027 is shaping up to be a test of Nigeria's political maturity. Will the country finally allow new leaders to emerge, or will the cycle of recycling the same old names continue? Atiku's statement gives a glimpse of hope, but Nigerians know better than to take words at face value. Until actions follow, it remains just talk. Still, the timing of the statement, the handshake photo with Obi, and the silence from Obi all combine to make the story irresistible. It is the kind of story that keeps people hooked because it feels like something big is about to happen. And that's where the real power lies, the suspense. Right now, Nigerians are caught in a game of waiting. Waiting to see if Atiku will keep his word. Waiting to see if Obi will break his silence. waiting to see if 2027 will finally be the year of change. This waiting game is already shaping the political conversation, and it will only grow louder as the election approaches. One thing is certain, the political space in Nigeria will never be the same again. Whether Atiku steps down or not, whether Obi runs or not, this single statement has already shifted expectations. Nigerians are no longer satisfied with the same old story. They want something new, something bold, something that matches the energy of the people. So, the big question now is, will Atiku truly pass the torch, and will Obi be ready to grab it? Or will this all turn out to be another round of political drama with no real change? Nigerians have heard promises before, but this time, the demand for change is louder than ever. 2027 is no longer just another election year. It is shaping up to be a battle for the future of Nigeria itself. And right now, every handshake, every statement, every silence is part of a bigger picture that could decide the country's destiny.